You know that feeling when some idiot in a Camry cuts you off without even checking their mirror? Your heart rate spikes. Your hand twists the throttle. Every muscle in your body is screaming to chase them down and let them know exactly how stupid they are. That right there? That's the 7-second window. 7 seconds from pissed off to the point where you've made a choice you can't undo. 7 seconds to go from riding home to ruining your entire life. I'm breaking down why road rage is exponentially more deadly for us than it is for cage drivers. The math is brutal. You're on two wheels with zero protection, piloting a machine that turns bad decisions into instant consequences. Add ego and adrenaline to that equation, and you've got a catastrophic chain reaction that ends with you in a hospital bed, a courtroom, or a coffin. The worst part, you already know this is stupid, but your brain doesn't care when that adrenaline hits. Here's what actually happens in your body the second a driver cuts you off. Your amygdala dumps adrenaline into your system. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that handles rational thinking and consequence evaluation, gets bypassed completely. You are in full fight-or-flight mode within 2 seconds. For car drivers, this biological hijacking is dangerous. For us, it is a death sentence. The problem is the motorcycle itself amplifies everything. That throttle response you love turns your rage into instant action. There is no delay between a bad decision and catastrophic execution. You think you will show this asshole, and your right hand is already twisting before your brain catches up. You are doing 80 in a 45 zone, weaving through traffic, chasing someone who does not even know you exist. But here is where it gets worse. Riders are more susceptible to this than car drivers. You are exposed. You are vulnerable. You feel every near miss in your bones because you know there is nothing between you and the pavement except your gear. That vulnerability does not make you cautious. It makes you aggressive. It triggers this warrior on a bike mentality where you feel like you need to assert dominance just to survive. Then there is the skill trap. You are a good rider, maybe a great rider. You have thousands of miles under your belt. You can flick through corners. You know your braking distances. You have practiced emergency maneuvers. That skill level creates this false confidence that you can teach them a lesson safely. You think you can brake check them without losing control. You think you can cut them off and accelerate away before they react. You think your abilities give you options. They do not. Your skill means nothing when a panicked driver swerves into you. Your experience is worthless when you are target fixated on revenge and miss the car changing lanes in front of you. Your talent cannot save you from physics. The real kicker is your body is doing exactly what it is designed to do. This adrenaline response kept our ancestors alive when they faced actual threats. But your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a soccer mom texting in a minivan. It treats both as existential dangers and floods your system with chemicals that shut down rational thought. You are not weak for feeling rage. You are human. But on a motorcycle, being human in that moment can kill you. Your body just primed you for disaster. Now let's talk about what happens when you act on it. The math is simple, and it's brutal. That car that just pissed you off weighs 4,000 pounds. You and your bike together weigh maybe 800 pounds. You have zero crumple zone. No airbags, no steel cage. When things go wrong, your body is the crumple zone. But here's what makes road rage especially deadly. When you chase someone down or brake check them, you are using your acceleration as a weapon against yourself. You are removing every escape option you have. You are committing to a position on the road where you have nowhere to go when things spiral. Think about what actually happens. You gun it to catch up to the driver who cut you off. You are doing 70, 80, or 90 miles per hour. You pull alongside them or cut in front of them. Now you are locked into that space. You cannot accelerate away because you are already at the limit. You cannot brake because they are right behind you. You cannot swerve because there are cars on both sides. You just put yourself in a box with no exits. Then there is the tunnel vision problem. When you are in rage mode, your field of vision literally narrows. It is called target fixation. And it is not just psychological, it is physiological. Your brain focuses on the threat, on that one car, and everything else becomes peripheral blur. You do not see the semi-truck merging in the next lane. You do not see the car 3 vehicles ahead hitting their brakes. You do not see the debris in the road, or the oil patch, or the pothole. You're so focused on punishing one driver that you've stopped being a defensive rider completely. Here's the chain reaction that kills riders. You make your aggressive move. The driver you're targeting panics. They don't react rationally because you just scared the hell out of them. They swerve. They brake hard. They accelerate erratically. And you, locked into your committed position with zero margin for error, have nowhere to go. You hit them, or they hit you. Or you both swerve and you lose it in the gap between cars. The worst scenario? Lane splitting or filtering incidents. You're threading between cars, already in a vulnerable position, and someone cuts you off or does not see you. Your rage kicks in. You bang on their window, or kick their door, or cut them off. Now you are trapped between 2 rows of cars, with inches of clearance and a driver who is either panicking or retaliating. One wrong move from anyone, and you are going down with vehicles on both sides. Studies on aggressive driving incidents show riders have exponentially higher fatality rates than car drivers in similar confrontations. It's not close. When cars get in road rage fights, they get dents and insurance claims. When we get in road rage fights, we get funerals. The worst part? Even if you somehow win the confrontation, even if you successfully cut them off, scare them, or flip them off and ride away, you've already lost. You put yourself in a position where luck was the only thing between you and catastrophic injury. But let's say you somehow survived the physics. You didn't crash. You didn't get run over. You made your aggressive move and rode away thinking you won. Now you face the legal ambush. The second you use your motorcycle aggressively against another vehicle, you've crossed into criminal territory. Assault with a deadly weapon, reckless endangerment, road rage statutes that carry felony charges in most states. Your bike just became a weapon in the eyes of the law, and that throttle twist you thought was a justified response is now criminal intent. Here's the problem nobody thinks about until it's too late. Everyone has cameras now. Dash cams, phone cameras, traffic cameras, doorbell cameras. That move you made that felt justified in the moment sounds very different on video. On video, it looks like unprovoked assault. The context you felt, the cutoff that started it, the near miss that triggered your response, none of that shows up on the footage. What shows up is you aggressively brake checking a car, or chasing someone down, or kicking a door, or cutting someone off at speed. The video doesn't care about your side of the story. Then there is the insurance nuclear option. Your claim gets denied. Your policy gets canceled. You need an SR-22 filing just to be legal on the road, which marks you as high risk for years. Most insurance companies won't touch you. The ones that will, charge rates that will cost you more per year than your bike is worth. Some riders become completely uninsurable. No coverage means no legal riding, which means no transportation, which means no job. But wait, it gets worse. Even if criminal charges don't stick, even if the prosecutor decides not to pursue it, you are still facing civil court. The other driver sues for medical bills, psychological trauma, lost wages, pain and suffering. Their lawyer doesn't need to prove you are a criminal. They just need to prove you were aggressive and caused harm or fear. That's a much lower bar, and juries do not sympathize with aggressive motorcyclists. The cost breakdown is catastrophic. Legal fees start at $10,000 minimum if you are lucky, $50,000 or more if it goes to trial. Settlements can hit 6 figures depending on injuries and circumstances. Your license gets suspended or revoked, which means you lose your transportation and potentially your livelihood. If you drive for work, if you have a CDL, if your job requires a clean record, you are done. Your motorcycle gets impounded as evidence. Depending on the charges and the outcome, it might get seized permanently or auctioned off to cover fines and restitution. The bike you love, the machine you have invested thousands into becomes property of the state. Then there is the permanent record. Every background check for the rest of your life shows this conviction. Job applications, apartment rentals, professional licenses, future insurance quotes. That 7-second decision follows you forever. Employers see assault with a deadly weapon, and your resume goes in the trash. Landlords see reckless endangerment and deny your application. The math just does not work. You risked everything for what? To make a point to someone who will forget about you in 5 minutes? Think the legal nightmare is the worst of it? That is just the beginning of how those 7 seconds destroy everything you have built. Your employment goes first. Background checks flag the conviction. Your current employer finds out, and suddenly you are a liability they cannot afford. If you work anywhere that requires driving, you are fired immediately. Commercial driver S license holders lose their license permanently. Professional licenses get revoked or suspended. Years of career building evaporate because you could not let some idiot merge without consequence. Job hunting becomes impossible. You explain the conviction in interviews and watch their faces change. They do not see someone who made one mistake. They see someone with anger management issues and poor judgment. Applications that ask about criminal history require you to check that box, and your resume never makes it past human resources. Then there is what it does to your family. Your partner looks at you differently. The person they trusted to make good decisions just proved they cannot control themselves under pressure. Your kids watched you get arrested or saw the court proceedings. You just taught them that violence and aggression are acceptable responses to frustration. That is your legacy now. The relationships that survive face constant strain. Financial stress from legal bills and lost income. The shame of explaining to friends and family what happened. The isolation when your writing buddies distance themselves because you are now that guy. The cautionary tale. The example of what not to do. If you got injured in the incident, you are dealing with a double nightmare. Physical trauma from the crash. Psychological damage from the guilt and the flashbacks. Surgeries, rehab. Chronic pain that reminds you every single day what your ego cost you. Some riders end up disabled, unable to work, unable to ride, unable to do the basic activities they took for granted. Post-traumatic stress disorder hits differently when you caused it yourself. When the nightmares come, you cannot blame bad luck or another driver's mistake. You replay those 7 seconds over and over, knowing you chose this outcome. The regret compounds like interest. Every day for years you think about that moment and the choice you cannot undo. Here is the cruelest part. If you somehow keep your license and can afford insurance and still have a bike, you may never enjoy riding the same way again. Every time you get on, you remember what happened. Every aggressive driver triggers anxiety instead of anger. The freedom and joy that made you love motorcycles gets replaced with hypervigilance and fear. Compare this to car road rage. A driver gets pissed, does something stupid, maybe gets a ticket or a misdemeanor charge, pays a fine, takes a class, moves on with their life relatively intact. You get life-altering consequences that ripple outward for years. Your credit score tanks from unpaid legal bills and judgments. Your housing options shrink because landlords will not rent to someone with a violent record. Your social circle contracts because people do not want the drama. Your mental health deteriorates under the weight of regret and consequences. All of it traces back to 7 seconds. 7 seconds where you chose ego over survival. 7 seconds that cost you your career, your relationships, your financial stability, your health, and your peace of mind. That is the real cost of road rage, not just the immediate crash or arrest. The cascading destruction that follows you for the rest of your life. So how do you actually stop yourself in that 7-second window before it is too late? The answer is not some Zen meditation bullshit or anger management platitudes. It is a pre-ride mental contract you make with yourself right now before you ever turn the key. Decide today that no driver, no matter how stupid or reckless or oblivious, is worth your life. Lock that decision in before the adrenaline hits, because once you are in the moment, your rational brain is offline. Here's the tactical approach: the 3-breath rule. The second you feel that rage spike, force yourself to take 3 full breaths before any response. Not shallow panic breaths. Deep, deliberate breaths that give your prefrontal cortex time to come back online. 3 breaths buys you 10 seconds. That is enough time for the adrenaline to start clearing and for rational thought to kick back in. While you are breathing, you are creating physical distance. Drop back, change lanes, take the next exit if you need to. Distance removes you from the trigger and gives you escape options. You cannot get in a confrontation with someone who is a quarter mile ahead of you. You cannot brake check someone when you are 3 cars back. Space equals safety equals survival. Then reframe the narrative in your head. That driver is not attacking you personally. They are oblivious. They are distracted. They are incompetent. None of those things are worth dying over. Their stupidity does not deserve your attention, let alone your life. You are not backing down. You are being smart enough to recognize a no-win situation. The invisible rider mentality is your foundation. Accept right now that most drivers do not see you. They are not malicious. They are just blind to motorcycles. When you expect stupid moves, you are not surprised by them. You have already planned your escape route before they cut you off. You have already identified the gap you will use when they merge without looking. Here is the ego check you need. Teaching them a lesson accomplishes nothing. They will not learn. They will not change. They will forget about you in 5 minutes while you are dealing with consequences for years. Even if you successfully scare them or cut them off or make them feel bad, what did you win? A moment of satisfaction that cost you everything? The win condition is not dominance, it is getting home. That is it. Every ride where you arrive intact is a victory. Every confrontation you avoid is a win. Every time you swallow your pride and create distance instead of engaging, you have beaten the real enemy, which is your own ego. Practical tactics help. Mount a helmet cam. Knowing you are recording your own behavior moderates your choices. Ride with level-headed groups who will not encourage or enable aggressive riding. Avoid rush hour rage zones when possible. Know your triggers and plan routes that minimize exposure to them. Bottom line, the 7-second choice comes down to ego satisfaction versus everything you have to lose. Your life, your freedom, your financial stability, your relationships, your future. You are already at a massive disadvantage on a bike. Do not hand drivers another weapon by losing control of yourself. Which of these consequences are you willing to risk for a middle finger or a throttle blast? Drop a comment about your closest call with road rage and what stopped you. Hit subscribe so we can keep building a smarter, safer riding community together.